Good morning, it's Ted from the Devil's in the Detail. As you can see, I'm well on with the bonnet now. This side has had two big stages with multiple sets of cutting to get the flatted marks out, and then a medium cut polish has had multiple sets to get it to a decent finish. It will need refining a bit more, but I'll come to it in a minute. I'm going to let it sink. So basically what I wanted to show is this side has now been flatted up to 2000 grit. So as you can see by the reflection, it's pretty good in the lines, and so I can see where the orange peel is. But there's a section just here that you can see I've marked. This whole section is low. Now when I bring the light onto this section, you'll be able to see what I'm hoping you can see. There is rippling and orange peel. Now during the blocking process, I've kept the block as flat as possible. So although this is nice and flat and getting to the point where it can be polished, this side isn't as flat. Now basically it means that the lines don't look straight. You can see just on the edges there that basically they look wavy. So I have two choices now. Polish it, do the 3000 grit and polish it, and there will be some slight distortion in this area in the middle of the bonnet. Or if I just flat this area to take some of the orange peel out, it'll have a smoother finish to look at, but when you view the car, say from a distance with the light on it, you'll be able to see a low. So I'm just toying with the idea now of going over this a couple of times more to knock some of the orange peel down, but feather it into this area so that it is a very, very mild change. This is something that really should have been took care of in the preparation side of the bonnet, because the low is actually in the metal work and not through any filler or anything. But it's my job to try and make this look more than presentable. You know, it's going on a show car. There is an area on this side of the bonnet that is pretty similar, but it's only a very, very small area, so it's not that noticeable. But this is quite a large area. So I think what I'm going to do is, like I says, feather it out, take some of the orange peel off. It will only be visible in certain lights at certain angles, and I'm sure when you're standing next to the car, as long as it's shiny and even, you're not really going to notice. So that's what I'm going to aim for. It pretty much, you know, you can see there's just a dark patch there where it's been flatted, and that's a little bit low as well. But I'll take care of all of that. Like I say, when you're standing next to the car, you know, you won't notice. If I leave it as it is and polish it, you will notice. So I'm going to do some more work just in this area so that I can get it looking nice and smooth before I start the polishing process. And then I'll show you later on when I get there what it looks like. You can just see, if I move, you can see the squiggles in the lights. And that's what I want to get rid of. I probably won't be able to get rid of all of it, but enough that it won't really matter. But obviously if you was here looking at the panel with your eyes, it'll become more clear of what I'm trying to do. But I'll get on with it. I want to get the thing polished to this sort of level, and then I'm going to let it stand for a week or two for any sinkage to happen before I carry on polishing it. So that's what I'm going to be on today. Right then, well, I'll show you again when I get somewhere near what I want it to look like. But you know, I'm hopeful after getting this side a million times better, because I have had the same issue in the middle of this panel, but it looks great, to be fair. So I'll get on with it. See you later. I thought I'd just show the sort of area that I'm working. As you can see, I'm really covering 2/3 of the panel to level this out, because I don't want a big hollow in the middle, as I explained. So I'm taking material off all the way and slowly creating a more level finish, and starting to get there now. It's a lot better already. I'm just going to keep going, but always spread the repair. It's like putting filler on. You don't just fill a little spot, it's feathered out, and that's how you get them to look more level. And as you can see by the reflection, it's getting a lot better already. I'm just gonna keep working it. I've got back down to 1000 grit. When I'm happy that it's looking a lot better, I'll start 2000, then 3000. But we're getting there slowly. Right, a bit of an update on the Escort Bonnet. I've encountered a bit of a problem. It's going to be very, very difficult for me to show this, but you can just see a dark ring in the paint. Now, normally you'd associate this with going through the paint into the next layer of paint. Well, this isn't supposed to have another layer of paint under it, because it was stripped, and it was chemically stripped, and as you can see there's a slight difference in colour. Now, none of the edges have lifted, it's perfectly smooth, but we've got to do something with it. So basically I'm going to flat the bonnet again now, and going to repaint over this section. Oh, if this light helps. I mean, it is very, very faint, but with the naked eye you can see it. You can just see the ring there. Now the paint readings are still reading 1100 microns, so you know there's paint all the way through, but it wasn't supposed to have had 2 lots of paint on it. It's supposed to be 1, so this shouldn't happen. But anyway, we're going to put it right. What we're going to do, we're going to blow the colour over this section, and then we're going to clear lacquer the whole of the bonnet, and then I'll obviously let that go off and then flat and polish that, and then we shouldn't have any anomalies, whatever they're called. But you know, this is part and parcel of what happens sometimes in these jobs. Not having watched it being painted from the beginning, if I'd have known there was 2 coats on there, I'd have probably been more careful, but I'd have still had to take some off to get it flat. So it is what it is, and it's happened, and we've just got to make sure it's put right. So I'm going to start flatting this now, in preparation for having it painted. I thought I'd show the bad with the good, that not everything always goes to plan. It's just being prepared to make sure it's get put right that's important. So we'll get on with it. The owner's actually been down and had a look at it and dropped some paint off, but it's not something that we want to leave, so we're gonna do it. I mean, it doesn't appear to have gone through a layer because there's no feathering edges or anything, but it's certainly slightly different in the colour, so let's put it right. Right then, well, that's the update, and it should be going in the paint shop tomorrow. We'll see what happens. I'll let you know. Turn off for now. Here we are. I've had the Escort Bonnet repainted. There was a couple of anomalies, whatever it's called, on this edge. So I've had that painted, and now I've had lacquer put over the top. So all I've got to do now is, when it's cured, I can wet flat the lacquer and polish it, and it should be lovely. It's looking good. So again, now wait for curing times. Right, and see you later. Morning. I've got a bit of an update on the Escort Bonnet. It's been sitting in my place now for a week since it's been painted, which is give it plenty time to settle down, gas out, and if there's going to be any sinkage, it could sink, because I'm going to flat it anyway. But before I had it painted, I had to prep the bonnet for paint, and basically enabled me to get more of the wobbles out by, taking a bit more material off. And now I've had it repainted with the colour, and then I've had about 4 coats of lacquer put on it, so there's plenty on it for me to flat and polish it up. We didn't paint the whole of the bonnet, just blended the paint, but the anomalies that I had around here are no longer visible, they're gone. So I'm going to give it another day, probably start flatting it tomorrow. It's not going to need as much flatting as it did previously, but I want it to look like glass when it's done. So I'll probably take it down starting at about 1500, 2000 and then 3000 wet flat, and we'll take it from there. So I'll probably flat it and leave it another couple of days to gas out again, because it's once you break the shell, you can guarantee it'll need to gas. So next week I'll polish it, but I'll see if I can get it flatted this week. But pleased with the outcome. It looks far more attractive than it arrived the last time. So there we have it. I shall do a little video when I'm flatting it, I think. So I'll see you then.